Hello everyone. This is proof number 6 in my series, Jesus is God. Today we're going to be taking a look at Hebrews chapter 1 verses 8 through 9, Hebrews 1, 8 through 9, which reads in the Greek. Prosteton ion, o thronos su o theos is ton aiona tu aionas, que rabdos tes aptitetos, rabdos tes basilias autu. Egapesas dikaosine ke amisesas anomian, diototo echrisense o theosu, eleon agleasios paratus metochosu, which in the English means, Your throne, O God, is forever and ever, and the righteous scepter is the scepter of his kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated lawlessness. Therefore God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness above your companions. Now, this is a direct quotation from the Old Testament, from Psalm 45, verses 6 through 7. Psalm 45, 6 through 7, which reads in the Hebrew, Kisacha Elohim olam ve'ed, shebet mishor shebet malchutecha, ahavta tzedek ve'tisna resha, Al ken mishachacha Elohim Elohecha shemen sasun mehabrecha. Very nice and rhythmic in the Hebrew. Now, the first thing we want to do here is we want to back up and get the context of Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews chapter 1, very, very interesting chapter. Probably the chapter with the most proofs for the fact that Jesus is God. So there will be several future videos zeroing in on various verses in Hebrews chapter 1. But let's just read through just to get the context. Always good to get the context. One of my favorite sayings is reading a text without the context is just a con. So Hebrews 1:1, God, after he spoke long ago to the fathers and the prophets in many portions and in many ways, and these last days has spoken to us in his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, through whom also he made the world. And he is the radiance of his glory and the exact representation of his nature, and upholds all things by the word of his power. And when he had made purification of sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high, having become as much better than the angels, as he has inherited a much more excellent name than they. For to which of the angels did he ever say, You are my son, today I have begotten you, and again I will be a father to him, and he shall be a son to me. And when he again brings the firstborn into the world, he says, And let all the angels of God worship him. And of the angels he says, Who makes his angels winds and his ministers a flame of fire. But of the Son he says, Your throne, O God, is forever and ever, and the righteous scepter is the scepter of his kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated lawlessness. Therefore, your God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness above your companions. So clearly, Jesus Christ is in view in Hebrews chapter 1. There's no doubt about that. He's the only begotten. He's the Son of the Father. There are just so many things in there that there can be no doubt that this is talking about Jesus Christ as being the Son. Okay. So there are two different persons in Hebrews 1, 8 through 9. There are two different persons that are being addressed as God. The first God is identified as the Son. In Hebrews 1, 8 it says, But of the Son, he says. That's about as clear as it possibly can be. And the second God is introduced in verse 9 as the one anointing the first God. So the first God is the Son. The second person is anointing. The second God is anointing the first God. Now, the word for anointed in verse 9 in the Hebrew, echrisen, is the aorist active indicative, third person singular, of the verb chrio, from which we get the noun Christos, or Christ, the Anointed One. Same is true in the Hebrew. In Psalm 45:7, the Hebrew for the word meshachacha is the Cal perfect third person masculine singular with a second person masculine singular suffix from mashach, from which we get the noun Mashiach or Messiah. So in the Greek, Christos, in the Hebrew, Mashiach, those are both, we get Christ from Christos, and we get Messiah from Mashiach, and those are transliterated from the Greek and from the Hebrew respectively, and the English translation is Anointed One. So Christ, Messiah, and Anointed One all mean the same thing. So the teaching of Hebrews 1:8-9 is that Psalm 45:6-7 is speaking of God the Father anointing God the Son, who is the Messiah, the Christ, the Anointed One. And the Son in view in Hebrews 1 from context clearly is Jesus Christ. Therefore, Jesus Christ is God. Thank you.